There is a very big change in the law in the United Kingdom. Now, in England and Wales, people who are very ill and near the end of their life can choose to end their life. This was not allowed before. Helping someone die was against the law. This big change happened because of a vote in the UK Parliament. Members of Parliament talked about the law and then voted yes. More members of Parliament voted for the change than against it. This means the law will now allow assisted dying under special rules. People who are very sick and want this choice can now have it. A famous person, Dame Esther Rantzen, spoke about the new law. She is also very ill. She said she was happy to see this day. She thinks it is good that people in the future will have this choice for a peaceful death. This vote in Parliament is a very important moment for the United Kingdom. It is the first time this choice is legal. The new law will start working soon. This is a big step for the country and how people think about the end of life. 2. What is new? The new law about assisted dying in England and Wales has clear rules. These rules are very important. They help to make sure that everything is done carefully and safely. The law is for people who are very, very ill. Their illness must be terminal, which means it will cause them to die. One important rule is about how long the person is expected to live. Doctors must agree that the person has 6 months or less time left to live. This is a strict time limit. The person must also be an adult, aged 18 or older. They need to understand their situation completely and be able to make decisions for themselves. They must be mentally competent. The law is only for people with a terminal physical illness. It does not apply to people with only mental health problems. The request to end their life must come only from the patient. Nobody else can make this choice for them or force them. If anyone pressures or forces a person, it is a serious crime. The law includes safeguards to prevent this. For example, there are independent advocates to support people, especially those with disabilities. Also, doctors and nurses have the right to refuse to take part if they have a moral reason. This is called opting out based on conscience. To use the law, the person needs approval from doctors. At least 2 doctors must see the person. They must be independent, meaning they do not work closely together on this case. One of these doctors must be a specialist in the person's specific illness. Both doctors must agree on the patient's prognosis, that they are terminally ill with 6 months or less to live. They must also confirm that the person is asking for this freely and understands the decision fully. After the doctors agree, a special group checks the case again. This group is a multidisciplinary panel. It includes different types of professionals, like a doctor who knows about mental health, a social worker, and a legal expert. This panel reviews everything. Their job is to make sure that all the rules and safeguards of the new law are met. They must give their final permission, often called a green light, before any further steps can be taken. The last step is about the medicine. The law clearly states that the person who is terminally ill must take the medicine themselves. They must self-administer it. A doctor or another person, like a family member, cannot give the final medicine to the patient. This is a key difference in the UK law compared to euthanasia, where a doctor might give the medicine. The UK law is focused on assisted dying, where the patient takes the final action. These detailed rules and steps are put in place to make the process safe. They ensure that assisted dying is a choice only for eligible adults with terminal illnesses, made freely and with many checks by medical and legal professionals. 3. Who can choose? The new law in England and Wales allows some people who are very ill to ask for help to end their lives. But there are important rules about who can make this difficult choice. First, you must be an adult. This means you must be at least 18 years old. The law is only for adults, not for younger people. Second, you must have a very serious illness. This must be a terminal illness. A terminal illness is one that cannot be cured and that will cause you to die. Doctors must agree that your illness is terminal and that you are expected to die because of it within a certain time. The law is for people whose suffering from this illness is very hard to bear. Third, you must have the ability to make your own decision clearly. Your mind must be clear. This means you must understand what assisted dying is and what your choice means. The law says that people with serious mental health problems cannot use this law. Their only illness cannot be a mental one. This law is for people whose main problem is a terrible physical illness that is ending their life. It is important that the person making the choice can think freely and understand everything. Also, the law understands that not all doctors and nurses will agree with assisted dying. If a healthcare worker feels it is wrong for them to help, they do not have to. They can choose not to be involved in the process. This is their right under the law, and it is called conscientious objection or opting out. This means you need to find a doctor who is willing to help you if you meet all the other rules. Most importantly, the choice must be yours alone. No one, not family, not friends, can force or pressure you to ask for assisted dying. Putting pressure on a sick person to end their life is a serious crime in the UK. The law has special checks and safeguards to try and prevent anyone from being forced into this choice. It is totally against the law for someone else to make this decision for you or push you into it. It must be your free and honest wish. So, the law is carefully written to say exactly who can choose. It is for adults with a terminal physical illness who are mentally capable, who want it for themselves, and who find doctors willing to help. It is a right to choose, but only for certain people under strict conditions. The law aims to offer a choice to those suffering terribly while protecting others. 4. Around the UK. The new law about assisted dying is for England and Wales. This means people living there can use this law if they meet the rules. The vote in Parliament was for these two parts of the UK. It is a big change for them. Scotland is also part of the UK, but this new law does not include Scotland. Scotland has its own plan for assisted dying. The Scottish Parliament voted on a similar idea in May of 2025. Their plan is also about terminally ill people who can take medicine themselves. Scotland's plan has different rules from England and Wales. For example, it has a waiting period of 14 days. Also, a person must live in Scotland for 1 year. Northern Ireland is another part of the UK. The new law passed in the UK Parliament does not cover Northern Ireland either. In Northern Ireland, helping someone end their life is still against the law. Any change, there would need a new law from the Northern Ireland government called Stormont, or from the UK Parliament again. So rules are very different in Northern Ireland. So the UK now has different rules about assisted dying in different places. England and Wales have the new law after the vote. Scotland has its own different plan it is working on. Northern Ireland still follows the old law where it is not allowed. Even in England and Wales, the new law will not start right away for people to use. The government and the health service, the NHS, need time to get ready. They have up to 4 years to make everything ready for this new service. This means the service for assisted dying should be available by the end of 2029. People who support the law hope it can start sooner, perhaps in 2027 or 2028. During this time before the law starts, the government will also look at important things. Parliament asked the Health Secretary to write a report. This report must look at how the new law affects care for people who are dying. This is called palliative care. The report should check if the health service is ready to help people well, and if palliative care needs more help and money in the UK. This check on palliative care will happen within 1 year of the law passing. This chapter explains where the new law applies and when people can start to use it. It shows that different parts of the UK are doing different things about assisted dying. It also shows that getting ready for the law in England and Wales will take time and planning to make sure it works correctly and safely for everyone. It is a complex change across the UK. 5. Leaders talk. People in Parliament talked a lot about the new law. They had many different ideas. This law was very important. The leader of the country, the Prime Minister, supported the new law. His name is Keir Starmer. He said it was okay for members of his party to vote how they felt. Some people in his team agreed with him and some did not. The leader of the main other party, the Conservatives, was Rishi Sunak. He also supported the law and voted for it. But most of the other Conservative members of Parliament did not support it. About 8 out of 10 Conservative members voted no. The leader of the Conservative Party, Kemi Badenoch, did not say she supported it. Some important people in the Conservative Party spoke against the law. One was James Cleverly. He said the law did not have enough rules to keep people safe. He thought it was better to keep the old rules for now. Other important people also spoke against it. Former prime ministers like Liz Truss and Theresa May did not support the law. Diane Abbott, a long-time member of Parliament, also said no. She said Parliament should help people who are sick and weak first, before changing laws about life and death. Another member of Parliament, Vicky Foxcroft, whose daughter is disabled, said that most disabled people and the groups that help them do not want this law. They worry about vulnerable people. But people who supported the law said that the old rules made sick people travel to other countries to die peacefully. They said this was hard and sad. One member, Peter Bedford, said that this law is not about making life shorter. It is about making death shorter, meaning less suffering. So, the leaders in Parliament had very different views. There were big arguments. Members of Parliament voted. The new law passed because more members voted yes than no. The votes showed that politicians in different parties did not agree on this important change. 6. Doctors and faith. Doctors and nurses have different thoughts about the new law. They see people who are very ill every day. Healthcare workers are divided. Some doctors agree with the law. About half of doctors in the UK support the idea of legal assisted dying based on surveys. The British Medical Association, a large group for doctors, is neutral on the law for now. Doctors who support the law think it can help patients who are in terrible pain with no hope of getting better. For these doctors, it feels like a kind way to help someone when medicine cannot stop their suffering. They might feel it helps people die with more peace and control. But other doctors and nurses are worried. They feel their job is to help people live. They worry that this law changes their role in patient care. Some doctors who work in care for dying people worry the law might take money or focus away from making people comfortable. The psychiatrists are also careful, saying the rules to keep people safe, like checking if a patient truly understands and is choosing freely, must be very strong. Some worry about whether hospitals and care homes are truly ready for this new service. Doctors can choose not to help with assisted dying if they feel it is wrong for them because of their beliefs. Religious leaders have also shared their ideas. Many religious groups do not support the new law. The Church of England is one example, and other faiths also have concerns. Leaders worry that letting people choose to end their life sends a bad message about the value of life, especially for people who are ill or disabled. They fear it might make sick people feel they should end their life because they are a problem for others. They also point out that the UK does not pay for all the care needed for people who are dying in comfort, like in hospices. They think it is strange to fully support ending life, but not fully support living until the end with good care for everyone. On the other hand, some experts who study what is right and wrong think people should have the power to choose. They believe it is part of a person's personal freedom to decide about their own life, including the end of it. This view says that if someone is terminally ill and suffering greatly, they should have the right to control the time and way they die with medical help. However, some people who support the idea also say that the UK needs to improve its healthcare for dying people first. They say that many people do not get good enough care now. There are not enough places and nurses to help people die peacefully. These experts believe that assisted dying should be an added choice for people who are already getting good care, not a replacement for good care. So, doctors, nurses, and people from different faiths have many different and strong feelings about the new law. They think about what is best for patients and what society should do to help people at the end of their lives. There is no simple answer, and opinions are divided on what is the right path. 7. Other countries and us. The UK is now like some other countries. These countries also have laws to help people end their lives when they are very sick. This new law makes the UK similar to them. Look at Canada. They have a law called Medical Assistance in Dying, or MAID. It started in 2016. Last year, many Canadians used MAID. It was about 4.7% of all deaths in the country. Most people who used it had a sickness that was ending their life. 2 doctors must agree. Canada is thinking about letting people with only mental illness use the law later. Belgium has had a law since 2002. Their law is wider than the UK's. Doctors in Belgium can give the medicine directly, while in the UK the person must take it themselves. The Belgium law allows help for young people and people with problems of the mind. About 3.3% of deaths in Belgium last year were from this law. Some cases were people with mind problems. Some people think this law is too wide and call it a slippery slope. New Zealand also has a law. It started in 2021 after people voted for it. Like the UK law, it is for adults who are terminally ill, meaning they will die soon. Doctors must agree, and the person takes the medicine themselves. Last year, over 300 people used this law in New Zealand. What do people in the UK feel about this? Many people in the UK want this kind of law. Polls show that about 75% of people support the idea of assisted dying for people who are terminally ill. Groups who wanted the law, like Dignity in Dying and My Death, My Decision, are happy. They say the law gives people choice and control when they are dying. They say it brings the UK law in line with what most people want. But groups against the law, like Care Not Killing and some disability groups, are worried. They call the law dangerous. They fear that sick and vulnerable people, maybe older people or those with disabilities, could feel pressured to end their lives. They argue that the special checks in the law are not strong enough. They also say that the government should first make sure there is excellent care for all dying people, like help with pain and comfort, before offering assisted dying. People discuss the possible good things and bad things about the law. Good things. People who are suffering a lot at the end of life can have a peaceful death at home. They don't have to travel far away for this help. It can give them dignity and peace. It can also help families who had to watch their loved ones suffer greatly or travel abroad secretly. It opens up important talks about death and dying. Bad things. The biggest worry is about pressure. Will people feel they should choose to die if they are old, sick, or feel they are a burden to others? Some worry that focusing on assisted dying will mean less money or attention for helping people live well with their illness, like hospice care. There are also fears that over time, the law could be changed to allow more people, like those with dementia or only mental health problems, to choose assisted dying. This is called the slippery slope worry. This chapter shows that the UK is not alone in having this type of law, but it is still a new and complex step with different views on its effects. 8. What next? This new law is a very big step for the United Kingdom. For the first time, people who are very sick can choose to end their lives legally. This change means many things for people who are dying and their families. We heard stories from people who are ill. Some said they were happy about the law. They felt relief knowing this choice was possible. One lady who was very sick said she was happy she lived to see this moment. She hoped future people could have a good death by choice. Families who saw loved ones suffer also shared their feelings. One member of Parliament talked about his mother who had a difficult death. Another talked about his sister who was in a hospice. They thought this new law could help people avoid suffering. Some families had to travel to other countries like Switzerland so their loved ones could have this choice. Now they may not need to leave home for this. This change might affect everyone in the UK. Supporters of the law say it is about showing kindness and control for people who are in great pain and are dying soon. They say it is not about making life shorter. It is about making the time of dying shorter and easier with respect for the person. It gives people control at the end of their lives. This can help people feel less afraid and keep their dignity. Supporters also hope it will make people talk more openly about death and end-of-life care. Some believe it might even help improve care for dying people. But some people are very worried about the new law. Groups who help people with disabilities are especially worried. They think sick people might feel like they are a problem for their families or the health service. They worry people might feel pressure to choose to die, even if they do not truly want to. They say the country must make sure everyone has good medical care and support first, before offering this choice. Some religious leaders also think the law is wrong. They believe all life is important until it ends naturally. They worry this law could make society value sick or older people less. Doctors and nurses have different ideas too. Some agree with the law and want to help. Others do not agree because of their personal beliefs or because they worry about how the health system will manage this. The government and health service need time to get ready for this law. It will take a few years for everything to be set up and working. During this time, they will also check how the law affects care for people who are dying. With this law, the UK joins some other countries like Canada and New Zealand, where this choice is already legal. People in these countries also have rules about who can choose this and how it is done. This is a big change, and it makes many people think about life and death. What does this new law mean for people at the end of their lives? How will it change things for people who are dying and their families in the UK in the future? It is a question for everyone to consider as the UK moves forward.
Hey there! Just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really, really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world. Thank you.